Hello, and thank you for joining us for Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. We're coming to you live from the Broadcasting House in Nairobi. My name is Giverson, Maina, and our sign language interpreter is Anwangeshi. So join us for the next 1 hour or so for news within, of course, across the country, and of course start interacting with our media, social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, and of course mine is at Giverson Maina. And now let's get started. The government has assured Kenyans that comprehensive measures are being put in place to prepare the country for the anticipated El Nino rains later this year. Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki says a multi-agency approach has already been activated to minimize the impact of floods, landslides, and even other disasters associated with the expected heavy rains. Now, our reporter has more.
The government has stepped up preparations ahead of the anticipated El Nino rains expected between October and December, following forecasts indicating a high likelihood of above normal rainfall. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki says the government is working with ministries, departments and agencies to ensure the country is fully prepared.
We want to assure the country that there is no need of panic, and we are engaged. All the ministries, department agencies, all organs of state are engaged to ensure that in the event of the actualization of the prediction by the scientists, the country is prepared and we are not taken to surprise.
The Deputy President, who chairs the Cabinet Committee on El Nino Preparedness and Response, says the government will prioritize flood mitigation, public health, protection of lives and uninterrupted movement of goods and services.
In some parts of the country, we have had depressed rainfall. In the short run, we do not expect to have a major food deficit situation, and therefore I think it's important that the country be assured that our food security is stable.
He added that disaster-prone areas will receive special attention through preventive interventions.
Traditional areas which are prone to mudslides and landslides and flooding will take preventive measures, and should this happen, we'll take active measures to make sure that we mitigate on loss of human life and public safety concerns and other disruptions that are associated with the El Nino rains.
Kindiki said the newly enacted National Disaster Risk Management Act 2026 will strengthen coordination between the national and county governments, including joint interventions such as unclogging drainage systems in Nairobi. He also assured Kenyans that the country remains on high alert on Ebola, adding that no case has been reported and contingency measures are already in place. The government has urged county governments and the public to work together in disaster preparedness as the country braces for expected rains later this year. Jackie Wambiru, Lunchtime News.
No, thank you, Wambiru, for that report. And now, away from El Nino stories, the Kenya National Private Security Workers Union is calling on the Ministry of Labour to ensure only private security firms complying with the gazetted minimum wage of 30,000 Kenyan shillings are awarded contracts in public institutions. Now, the union has warned that it will mobilize its members to eject non-compliant companies from government offices. Now, speaking in Nairobi, the Union Secretary General Isaac Adambwa now accused many local private security firms of ignoring 30,000 Kenyan shillings minimum wage despite securing lucrative government contracts. He also urged the Ministry of Labour to strictly enforce compliance and, of course, ensure only firms adhering to the wage regulations set by the Private Security Regulatory Authority under the 2023 Gazette Notice are allowed to provide security services in public offices.
I want to ask the CS of Labour, as you have considered the minimum wages, general wages order in various sectors of the Republic of Kenya, I want to beseech that you must again put into place mechanism to make sure the same gazettement or increment by His Excellency the President has been respected and obeyed. If we are going to find the Private Security Regulation Authority has licensed thieves in this industry who are not paying the required minimum wage, who are not paying the taxes. We are going to visit those assignments and make sure we chase them out of those assignments.
Now, Kenya has been identified as a strategic gateway for advancing women's leadership and peace building initiatives across Africa. Now, as the International Women's Peace Group officially launches its engagement in the country. Now, speaking during a peace conference in Nairobi, the International Women's Peace Group chairperson Nayong Jion noted that the organization is seeking to forge long-term partnerships with Kenyan stakeholders to strengthen women's role in promoting sustainable peace across the continent.
I believe today's conference was a great success because we could truly feel Kenya's strong commitment to peace and hear firsthand about the challenges the country is facing now. It gave IWPG a much clearer understanding of how we can contribute and what role we should play in supporting peace-building efforts in Kenya moving forward.
Women are the most vulnerable when it comes to war and conflicts. So we are trying to educate the women so that they may know their rights and also they may have education on peace, because peace begins with an individual. So when they have peace in them and in their families, it is easier now to bring it to the community.
In the community, we are looking at peace with action. We are looking at promoting positive ethnicity, accepting that we come from different ethnic communities, but we must coexist. We all have the same right to exist in this country.
Now, the leadership of the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization in Kisumu County is urging members to use existing internal conflict resolution mechanisms to resolve any differences that may arise, now rather than pursuing their grievances in public. Now, the appeal was made during a special delegates meeting convened by the county chair, Karen Law, amid an escalating internal conflict bordering on, of course, a parcel of land and other issues in Kisumu settings. Now, Karen clarified that the parcel is duly registered in the organization's name, dismissing allegations of fraudulent dealings. Now, the attending delegates resolved, among other things, to dismiss errant officials from their positions and elect new ones to do, or rather to steady the empowerment ship in the Lake County.
It has been established that this issue of fraud, this issue of land that was not properly handled is neither here nor there. We've provided documents, and you can see even the members are provided with the said documents, and I believe it was mischief that was being used for somebody's interest. We've also agreed that issues of the Maendeleo will never ever be, because we have a constitution that guides us, will never be addressed on the streets, because we are an institution that has its mandate. We have protocol and procedures, we have a constitution, and we all know the people who are here are very well much aware of how internal issues, dispute, or issues outside should be handled.
Now, a new initiative aimed at recognizing excellence in journalism, strategic communication and digital storytelling has been launched in Mombasa. Now, with organizers promising to raise professional standards while, of course, promoting ethical and impactful media practice. Now, speaking during the launch, Deputy Government spokesperson this Monaisha Chizoga reaffirmed the government's support for the initiative and called on institutions to create more opportunities for journalists outside conventional newsrooms' role. Now, she reiterated that it was high time for journalists to take up their space in the profession and stamp their authority, especially now that the country was heading to the general election. Now, sentiments echoed by the leaders who also attended the launch. The inaugural awards gala is scheduled for October or November this year.
Kama naibu msemaji wa serikali, sisi tunaheshimu taaluma ya wanahabari. We will work with you, we will protect you, and that is why we are so concerned when we see that watu wanakiuka ethics, mipangilio, sheria za wanahabari kwa manufaa yao binafsi, wakisingizia kwamba ni sekta ya wanahabari.
You shape how we understand it. You hold power to account. You give language to experiences that would otherwise go unnamed. This is not a small job. It's a nation-building work, and through responsible reporting, you can move our country forward.
Many of you actually do what you do because it is a calling. It is a sacrifice that you've been able to put out there. Many a times you go out and what you do ends up being way more than the financial gain that you end up getting at the end of the day. So this is a profession that needs to be applauded.
And I'm willing to share the little experience that I have with the team so that, we are able to diversify most of these awards to appreciate the community around Mombasa.
2, 1, 1.5, 1.
And I change focus to other matters now. The Kenya School of Government says Kenya's public service must embrace accountability, deliver measurable results, and break away from a culture of mediocrity in order to regain public confidence. Now, speaking ahead of the institution's centenary celebrations, Director General Professor Nura Mohammed said the next generation of public servants must be ethical, citizen-centered, and focus on transforming service delivery across the country.
Over the years, Kenya School of Government and the then Kenya Institute of Administration at that time, Jean School in 1926, then 1961 Kenya Institute of Administration, which became in the year 2012 the Kenya School of Government. Over the years, we've contributed, immensely into the transformation of the public service. Recently, as a Kenya School of Government, we came up with a program referred to as intergenerational dialogue in the public service. Intergenerational dialogue has two, objectives. The first objective is to mentor the young leaders who are in the public service so that then they appreciate and, have clarity on how they grow in the public sector. The second is for them to have, a conversation with the older generation so that, we don't have, older generation is all about system, procedures, processes, so you must follow that.
And our people with disabilities have called for greater inclusion in Kenya's tourism sector, claiming that they have been sidelined in tourism-related matters despite the enactment of the tourism regulations of 2025. Now, speaking during a one-day workshop held in Kajiado County, participants urged the government and tourism stakeholders to fully enforce the 2025 law that guarantees the access to business and employment opportunities, as well as equal participation in domestic tourism, including visits to national parks and other tourist attractions.
The training is involving the person with disability to ensure that they know their rights as from the Person with Disability Act 2025.
So today's session is basically to be able to sensitize our community in Kajiado County to understand what is their role.
Tungeomba serikali na wale wengine wahusika waweze kutupa nafasi hata na sisi tuhusike katika kitengo hiyo kwa sababu ya kipato.
So many tourists come in Kenya and in our county, so we need to take this opportunity and also ask our county government to also have good structures and implement the laws and the act so that we can even have 5% enacted.
Now let's cross over to the coastal region where youths in Kilifi County are calling upon the government to set aside a special allocation to manage mental health for men. Now this follows the launch of the community stakeholders event to, of course, to urge the community to of course, keep an eye on the issue.
Ningependa kuambia jamii kwa ujumla ya kuwa tukaweze kusupport wanaume, tusiwaone kama viumbe dhaifu wanapoongea. Ni binadamu kama sisi, wana changamoto kama sisi.
Na changamoto zetu ni very unique sana. Kutoka kwa mahusiano, uchumi, masomo, mihadarati, mambo ni mengi ambayo yanatusumbua sisi. Familia, mashamba pia, siasa pia tuko na changamoto zetu. Tumeona vijana wetu wakipotea, zile forced disappearance na kutekwa nyara, na hakuna mtu ambaye anazungumzia hilo swala, na masuala mengi yanaathiri wanaume. So ni vizuri tukipata nafasi kama wanaume tuweze kupaza sauti yetu.
Now, residents of Rwamburi village in Deya district are calling for urgent intervention to address incidences of suicide. This comes in the wake of reports that 3 men committed suicide in the last 1 month. Now, local leaders are now appealing for increased mental health awareness and access to counseling services to prevent further loss of life. Now, the latest case was that of a construction worker who reportedly died after jumping into a water pool. According to Deputy Chief Gladys Maingi, the increasing number of deaths have left residents concerned and searching for answers. She urged families and the community to identify and support people experiencing emotional distress before situations escalate.
Kwingine tunasikia hiyo mambo inaendelea. Kwa hivyo bado ni kijana mdogo wa like 30 years. Alikuwa na mental problem. So tungewaomba men sana kwa sababu hizi cases tumezipata kwa men. At least waweze kujiongea, mtu akiwa na shida anasema, na ili tunaweza kumsaidia.
Ombi langu kwa vijana ni waweze tu kuongea, wawache kufikiria mambo yao. Wakishikwa na hiyo depression, wakubali tu kujitokeza na kusema masida yao, ndio tujaribu kuwasaidia.
Now, Kenya is intensifying efforts to combat plastic pollution and improve waste management. Now, the initiative is through a consumer-led circular economy program to transform how households, manufacturers, and even waste handlers manage post-consumer waste. Now, spearheaded by the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization, the initiative brings together manufacturers, waste pickers, county officials, and environmental regulators in Mombasa to promote compliance with the Extended Producer Responsibility. Now, speaking during the engagement, a KEPRO board director, Lady Wangeshi, said KEPRO has convened a sensitization forum for about 40 manufacturers to deepen their understanding of APR regulations governing post-consumer waste. Mombasa County Chief Officer for Environment and Solid Waste Management, Hamid Shehan, said the county government has been licensing waste pickers and community-based organizations to receive training on proper waste collection and handling.
Kenya, we have been focusing more on linear waste management. But when you actually now look at circular economy from the manufacturer, the consumers, and the waste pickers, that's the circular economy that we really want to enhance within our stakeholders.
What we have noticed is, everyone tries to pass the buck. From household, they pass on to the government, from waste pickers, who also pass on to now government. And what we've done with waste management under the leadership of His Excellency the Governor is to transform waste pickers from an informal sector to a formalized sector.
Waste collection imekuwa difficult na segregation imekuwa tabu sana ikifika kule kwenye dumping areas, na inakuwa sasa there's a lot of pollution.
And now, still in the coastal region, 00 residents of Kwale County are now claiming that over 200 families are being excluded from land allocation intended for squatters. Now, the residents are demanding the suspension of the land allocation exercise, which is scheduled for next week, until their grievances are addressed. Now, residents allege that despite a court order issued to temporarily halt the process, government officials plan to evict them and allocate their land to outsiders. Here's more.
In 2018 ardhi hiyo ilipopimwa kulikuwa na maskwota zaidi ya 130, lakini leo hii maskwota hao wamechukuliwa 8 na wengine wanafurushwa waende kusikojulikana.
Watu wameenda kotini na hao pia kushtaki kama maskwata pale wamepata kotoda, lakini vyombo vya serikali havijataka kuwasikiza. Kuomba president hili swala uliingilie, sisi tuliobaki hapa katika hii eneo tubakia hapa, kama ni kesi tuendelee na kesi mpaka itakapomalizika, ndio tujue kila mmoja ni haki yake. Lakini uko na haki yako appeal kwenda uombe kotini, sisi tutaendelea na kazi yetu. Na tutaendelea na kazi yetu kwa hali ya amani. Sisi hatupigani na mtu hapa. Sisi vitengo vyetu vitakuja kuhakikisha surveyor amefanya kazi yake kwa mujibu ya sheria.
Now from Kwale, cross over to Trans Nzoia County, where education stakeholders in Trans Nzoia County have called for stronger collaboration between parents and teachers to identify and nurture learners' talents under the competency-based education curriculum. Now, speaking during an awards ceremony for poetry winners, education stakeholders urge parents and teachers to identify learners' talents from early age. And now, of course, also addressing social challenges and nurturing creativity.
CBE inasema ya kuwa tunache talents kwa watoto, tuguze vipaji katika watoto hawa, maana katika vipaji ndio hawa watoto wataendelea sana katika masomo yao na katika pia kujinufaisha kimaisha.
As much as unaangalia performance yao ya darasa, pia inafaa uangalie talents zao. So nikaona ya kwamba mimi naweza simama kwa ile nafasi ya kunacha talents ya hawa watoto, especially kupitia kwa elocutions ama kupitia kwa hizo poems. So nikawasaidia na tumekuwa na some of the challenges kwa ground. Ya kwanza ni kwamba wakati mwingine unapata ya kwamba shule hazikui supported sana na the ministry, like upande wa music unapata shule lazima wa chip in kwa vitu zingine kama chakula, kama uniform.
Matters politics now. A movement of Gen Z women within the ruling UDA party in Kakamega County has officially launched a campaign aimed at encouraging more young women to register as voters ahead of the next general election. Now, this initiative aims to extend the voter registration campaign to Gen Z residents, ensuring high registration numbers. Now, speaking outside the UDA offices in Kakamega town, Queens of UDA movement leader Karen Juma noted that the initiative aims to familiarize the party and mobilize a large number of young people to register ahead of the 2027 elections.
Project kwanza zilikuwa zimekwama kama hospitali. Nimeona saizi hospitali inaendelea. Nilienda hospitali nikaona hiyo project imeendelea. Kuna njia ya C41 ilikuwa imegwama. Sasa nimeona contractor wako kwa barabara. Yaani Kenya mheshimiwa Ruto aliongea. Naona Kenya aliongea. Inaendelea kufanywa. Kwa kila sub county lazima kuna soko inajengwa. Hii Kakamega, I'm talking about Kakamega. President alitupromise masoko na kweli soko zinajengwa. Na vijana tunaona.
And now still in Western Kenya, residents of Matungulu East Ward have benefited from free medical services courtesy of Nairobi-based hospital and the local youth leadership. Now, the residents who have been walking for a long distance to seek medical services lauded the initiative, which was facilitated by an aspiring member of the County Assembly, Jonathan Mutinda.
The initiative could not come at a better time for these residents of Matungulu East. The residents shared their testimonial saying they had lived with various health complications for a long time before attending the camp.
Kuwa na shinda ya mapua na nilianja hiyo kliniki 2010. Nikatipiwa Murang'a ikashindikana, nikakunja Thika ikashindikana. Na wakati nimekunja Machakos Katheka ndio nilitipiwa hiyo shinda ya mapua.
Na nashukuru sana because of hii fursa ambao our incoming MCA Matungulu East Ward Jonathan Mutinda ametuletea.
Nimekuja hapa katika kwa matibabu na nimepimwa, nimeonekana ugonjwa wangu, na kesho nimeambiwa niende Nairobi nifanyiwe scan
Nilikuwa hapa last month, nikatibiwa, nikaenda Nairobi, nikapewa mandawa. Nimerudi hapa mara ya pili kupata pia ama kuangaliwa pia mimi naendelea.
Some reported experiencing immediate relief after receiving treatment and consultation from medical team.
We screened around more than 200 patients, and we found a lot of cataract patients, glaucoma patients, and allergic conjunctivitis patients, and also ENT patients, and we diagnosed them, and we will take them Nairobi for good treatment, surgeries, operations.
Speaking during the event, local MCA hopeful Jonathan Mutinda reiterated his commitment to improving the health and well-being of the residents. He further noted that such community health initiative complement government effort to make healthcare most accessible, especially for vulnerable families.
Tumekuwa na matibabu ya wagonjwa hapa Katheka na wamejitokeza kwa wingi. Tumekuwa na shida ya watu wa macho, shida ya watu wa kifua na mapua. Na kwa kweli watu ambao tunafanya nao kazi wamekuja wamefanya kazi mzuri na watu wengi wamesaidika.
The successful medical camp concluded with call for more regular outreach programs to ensure that quality healthcare reaches every corner of Matungulu East. Danton, Indande, Lunchtime News.
Now, thank you, Denton, for that report. Now, artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping the global education landscape, with the stakeholders urging the government to fully embrace the technology as a driver of innovation and skills development. I was speaking during the EdTech Innovators Summit organized by the U.S. Embassy and Tufunzeni. They said AI has the potential to transform learning, digital literacy, prepare learners for the demands of the job and future job market. Of course, he emphasized the need to ensure the young generation is actively included in the AI ecosystem to help tackle unemployment and, of course, create new opportunities in the digital economy.
In a period of transition right now, they're changing the curriculum in the schools and they're incorporating more ed tech, and it's becoming the tech hub of Africa and one of the tech hubs of the world. Important for us to collaborate together and for us to work together to bring technology into the future.
Schools will still remain central to learning. It will also require a lot more personal interest and integrity in every learner's approach to their studies.
So for us, we saw a gap in the existing digital platforms, and we challenged ourselves to ensure that innovation meets accessibility.
That story on artificial intelligence takes us to a very short commercial break. Don't go too far. There's still so much more lined up for you.
Umechoka kutumia links za kukwama? Cheki, free rewards ni hatari.
Bro, ulikuwa unatumia wrong link na wrong info. Unahitaji info sahihi na link sahihi.
Ni time ya info sahihi. IEBC Continuous Voter Registration iko live. Mistari ndefu Z, hakuna cha wrong links.
Main character energy unlocked. Right information, right direction. My vote is my ultimate choice.
Jisajili leo katika ofisi ya eneo bunge, kituo cha huduma au Customer Experience Center iliyopo Anniversary Towers, Nairobi. Kuwa change, kura yako ndio future yetu sote.
Pedri. Spain looking irresistible right now, but Cucurella has a goal! Wonderful goal!
This is the second phase, they win possession back. Pedri, lovely little ball. Out to Cucurella on this left side. Most wide men in that position were just whipping in behind that defence. Not this Spanish team. Puts it in between the lines. Ayazabal.
I am Chef Ombachi. Today I'm cooking ugali na Ajab Premium Maize Meal. Boil water, done. Add Ajab Premium Maize Meal. Done. Grab your milk and start the mixture. Done. Enjoy the amazing aroma. Enjoy incredibly soft ugali. Done. Ingia ligi ya kipekee na Ajab Premium Maize Meal.
ningependa Portugal ishinde at the end kwa sababu nani hajashinda nini yote. Kapi yote ya maana na kwa downgrade. So ningependa sana at least nani abebe kitu, Ronaldo abebe kitu. Guys, welcome to KBC. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Sikose kuona.
Kitu ya kwanza nashukuru KBC Channel 1 kwa kuleta live stream hapa Kibra hapa mtaa. Kama unavyojua World Cup ina connect watu all the world. Watu wanakuja pamoja kuona hii World Cup. Japokuwa timing ndo mbaya ya World Cup, but so far so good. Tumeenjoy na ukiangalia kwamba finali itakuwa kati ya Brazil na France. Ndio timu ya kuona. To the African teams wamejaribu so far. Ivory Coast wametoka wakiona heads up. Timu kama Congo pia wamejaribu. Timu kama Cape Verde, I wish them all the best on their coming match. Naona ni kama watapiga Argentina.
Kwenye Mkulima wiki hii tunakuza uyoga na kuendeleza kilimo biashara.
Lazima ikuwe ndani ya nyumba, huwezi kufanya nje. Nimeelezea nikasema hata kama ziua zinakuwa kwa msitu, ule msitu umeipea conditions zenye ziko very good for that. Yeah. But sasa hapa tunajaribu kuleta ile conditions za msitu za forest hapa ndani.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Hello, welcome back. You're watching Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. Now let's cross over to Narok County, where the government has reaffirmed its commitment to improving newborn survival through a 4.5 billion shillings investment in neonatal incubators and specialized newborn care equipment across the country. Now, speaking at Narok County Referral Hospital during the official handover of 8 neonatal incubators to the counties of Narok, Kajiado, Bomet, and Kericho under the Okoa Malaika initiative, the spouse of the Prime Cabinet Secretary Taisi Musalia Mudavadi expressed confidence that the government's intervention will significantly reduce infant mortality in the country. Now, Taisi, at the same time, maintained that the program will go a long way in strengthening neonatal healthcare services and ensuring that every newborn has a better chance of survival.
Our vision is simple. A Kenya where every woman receives the care she deserves, every newborn is given the best possible start in life, every healthcare worker has the equipment needed to save lives, every hospital is ready to provide life-saving care when it matters most.
We want a future where no family in Kenya suffers the heartbreak of losing a baby to prematurity. We are not there yet, but we are on our way. And with the same conviction that has walked us to 32 facilities today.
Nataka kukuhakikishia kwamba kutoka siku hii ya leo, kwa sababu umetuhusisha Narok, tutatembea pamoja na tutaokoa maisha ya malaika kutoka Narok hii na kwenda kote nchi yetu ya Kenya yote.
Now we'll cross over to Kisii County, where learning institutions in various counties have benefited from water tank donations and a partnership between a group dubbed Alpha Queens and World Creativity. Nyamokenye and Nyansakia Comprehensive Schools in Babasi constituencies were among the beneficiaries. Now, according to World Civility Representative Dominic Obadiah, the donation of tanks is impacting learners by reducing waterborne diseases and keeping them in school. Now, apart from tanks, the group has also provided reusable sanitary pads to girls-sponsored students and donated computers. World Civility official Michael Manduku thanked the group for the donation, saying the schools were in dire need.
You know that many schools now are trying to have lunch in schools, and water is a basic need. Without water, they cannot be able to stay in school. So for them to be able to access clean water, we thought it's important that we provide water tanks for such institutions so that they can stay in school. Targeting probably about 9 schools and communities, which we're helping with tanks.
We lack this water, we send them to the rivers. And there are a lot of challenges on the way going to the river to bring water. So we are not now going to send them to the rivers to bring that water.
Today, they are supported with the 10,000 liter tank, which will help our students to get access water.
And our sports betting continues to gain a momentum in the country. A 57-year-old Edwin Endemoli has now acquired millionaire status following his lucky draw in the 50 million Kenya shillings must-be-won Betika jackpot. Now, Edwin's newly acquired fortune comes after his accurate prediction of 14 out of 15 games in the 2-month betting window. Now, he encourages Kenyans to practice responsible betting and keep an eye out for scams.
Nimekuwa nikicheza Betika mara moja wikendi, nazaruka na nacheza wikendi nyingine kwa miaka kadhaa saa hizi. So ilikuwa nimewekelea tu ile kujaribu na ndio tukakuwa mshindi. Vile nimesema ni mchezo wa kubahatisha. Kwa hivyo usiweke pesa yako yote kwa betting ukifikiria utapata kitu. Kwa hivyo tumia pesa yako vizuri. Ukibaki na pesa kidogo basi unaweza shiriki, ni just for fun. Do it for fun, must not be an addiction.
Of course we are happy because we created this jackpot to create winners. So whenever we get a winner, we are happy. Usually it's guaranteed that after every 8 weeks we'll have a winner. We wish we could have them in between. But I don't know if we need to make the jackpot a bit easier because it's been 8 weeks since we started, but we are very happy for him.
Now let's get to business. Players in the electric mobility space are now calling for policy stability in electric mobility regulations if the sector is to be fully optimized by investors and users. Now, Basigo, head of communications, Wanjiro Mureithi, says the industry is still young and experiences annual policy changes, making it difficult to stabilize business strategy. Here's more.
Kenya officially launched its national electric mobility policy this year, spearheaded by the Ministry of Roads and Transport, in efforts to decarbonize the transport sector, reduce petroleum imports, and establish Kenya as a regional leader in EV manufacturing and clean energy. However, investors say the policy is just one of the incentives needed to run the EV sector.
This is still an emerging market and we're still growing, in comparison to our diesel, petrol, just the fuel fleets or the fuel industry. What we would really like to see is more policy stabilization.
The policy framework provides targeted fiscal and non-fiscal incentives to manufacturers and assemblers to stimulate local production, assembly and export of EV parts.
So if we would have policy stability for a longer period of time, this industry will be able to organize itself better and to also predict the kind of growth that we can have as an industry. So policy stability is a big one.
The National Electric Mobility Policy is projected to accelerate EV adoption through zero-rated value-added tax and reduced excise duty on electric buses, bicycles, motorcycles and lithium-ion batteries. Alan Auko, Lunchtime News.
And away from that, Nyandarua Prison has expanded its certified potato seed production program in a bid to enhance food security, support farmers, and of course equip inmates with modern agricultural skills as part of their rehabilitation. Now, Correctional Services Principal Secretary Salome Bieko says the prison plans to double its potato seed acreage from 20 to 40 acres following the successful production of first and second generation certified seed. Here's more.
The correctional facility has partnered with Japan International Cooperation Agency and International Potato Center to strengthen potato seed propagation through technical support and skill transfer. Correctional Services Principal Secretary Salome Bieko says the recent gazettement of prison enterprise will allow the institution to commercialize certified seed production, making quality planting materials available to farmers while boosting prison self-sufficiency.
Commercialize the way we produce our produce, na tutakuwa tukiuza hizi seeds kwa farmers hapa Nyandarua. Nyandarua County ina umaarufu wa ukuzaji wa viazi. Tutakuwa tukiuza huku, lakini tunanuia kuuza kwa nchi nzima kwa wale farmers ambao wanahitaji hii seed.
The initiative will also reduce government spending on food by increasing agricultural production within correctional facilities.
We sell from the farm to the prisons and we generate revenue that is able now to reduce the budget that the government allocates the prisons to cater for food and ration.
The partnership is focused on building the technical capacity of both prison staffs and inmates, enabling them to produce high-quality certified seeds and empower inmates, many of whom come from farming backgrounds, with value skills for self-employment and commercial farming after their release.
We are transferring skills to them. Many of them come from the local community, which grows potatoes. So it's only imperative that they learn how to grow these and produce potatoes, so that when they are released from prison, they can engage themselves in economically beneficial activities and avoid crime.
To support the government efforts for technical transfer of skills, so that also prison, being the medium of correction, can pass on these skills to the inmates, and also to support our farmers who really are losing a lot out of lack of quality seedlings.
The stakeholders says Nyandarua Prison is the first correctional facility in Kenya to undertake potato seed propagation on such a scale, with plans to expand production to different potato varieties and supply farmers with high quality, high yield certified seeds. Ekelowino reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, the local manufacturing industry is seeking to leverage Italy's food processing technologies to stem the country's persistent post-harvest losses and limited value addition. Through the Africa on the Road project, 13 Italian companies are showcasing technologies spanning irrigation systems, greenhouse solutions, food processing equipment, industrial automation, and industrial packaging, with the aim of establishing long-term commercial partnerships with Kenyan manufacturers.
And to address post-harvest losses, having the right technology presents you a huge opportunity. We have seen companies that have refrigerators, for example. We've seen in places within our country, particularly in Central Province, where we produce enough tomatoes, but we cannot keep them, probably because of the lack of bulk storage.
Technology, and it's necessary, I think, to be here creating partnership between Italian producer and Kenyan producer. So not just to offer machinery for the food production, but in order to share contents, best practices, involve not only the industry, but the academia, the students, researchers, to create a great connection.
And now we cross over to Migori County now. Improved security and expanded electricity connectivity has catalyzed economic activities in Migori County, where traders say the town has previously suffered an economic downturn due to insecurity, poor infrastructure, and the absence of reliable electricity, promoting crime activities. Now, however, the recent investments in power, connectivity, and strengthened security initiatives undertaken jointly by local administrators and residents have transformed the business environment.
Watu walikuwa wanapigwa kwa giza hapa. Hata kutoka Nairobi saa 8 ukisuka hapa unafuata unapigwa kwa giza hapa. Na wakati wa saa hii nini ndio tunataka iongezwe, hii taa naenda paka estate hapa chini.
Hii taa imeweka maendeleo sana, hata tunauza mpaka saa 6, watu wanatoka mpaka saa 7 wakienda nyumbani. Hakuna mtu anazuiwa barabarani, hakuna mtu analalamika alinyang'anywa.
Tuko na police post pia hapa. Mambo ya security sasa hii iko sawa, na pia wageni pia wanaingia hapa. Wageni wa kupiga biashara hapa, tuko na maduka ya waoria wako hapa, maduka 8 hapa sasa hii.
Now let's take you to an interview between, or rather the interview of the European Union ambassador. Take a look.
Much for making time for us, Ms. Henriette Geiger. She will be speaking to KBC Channel 1, and we're just going to be talking briefly about your tenure. My name is Ndotamo Kami. And Ambassador, 50 years of EU and Kenya relations. Just briefly talk to me about that, and how has that been shaping you as the ambassador for the past 5 years?
So, 45 years before, we're very much focused on the post-independence Kenya, building up, helping in the build-up of the new nation, the new structures. So it was very much focused on development, cooperation, and assistance. And so in the past 45 years, we added all these embassies. This one was the first. So Germany was the first country to come here. They have CD1. And then all the other embassies came. Now we have 19 and soon 20. So in the past, everybody basically developed their own thing. And we now work very much as a team called Team Europe. And we are aligning our strategies. We work together on cooperation, on political points. So I think in that journey over the past 50 years, we have very much broadened and deepened our cooperation with Kenya. And when I came in, we had already established what we call the EU-Kenya Strategic Dialogue. So we have already elevated our relations to a more strategic level.
Speaking from the Africa Climate Summit, of course, you mentioned that Kenya is one of the biggest beneficiaries of some of the relations that we've had with the EU. Yeah. Now, Kenya is also a leader in renewable energy. And just speaking about the energy sector and the manufacturing sector, are we likely to see partnerships continuing on that front? And to what end do we see the relations continuing?
The EU has developed also in the past 5 years a new instrument called Global Gateway, EU Global Gateway. And the idea here is to help our partners to develop infrastructure in a sustainable way. And sustainable and renewable energy is a core focus for us. And we will develop in the next, because we are starting a new financial cycle, renewable energy will be one of the key aspects of this global gateway. And the global gateway is supposed to bring both grants, but also private sector investments in, because with grants, you don't get very far. If you look at the road or digital infrastructure or a wind farm, you need private capital to basically get to a level where you have impactful investment.
On the trade front, the EU and Kenya have been great partners over the years. And of course, we have seen the EU regulations increasing in enforcement. And one of the challenges that manufacturers and small businesses have raised is phytosanitary standards. The EU is quite strict about that. Are we likely to see the strictness of those regulations continuing in the coming years? And also, how can Kenyan manufacturers and exporters be able to meet up with those international standards?
The EU has a bad reputation of over-regulation, and increasingly also within the EU, they say we have to tone it down a little bit. So we shouldn't over-regulate, but what is very important is that we have minimum standards for the consumer. We are all consuming at a daily rate pesticides, toxins, plastics. So there has to be somebody who looks after that and makes sure that we can guarantee a minimum level of safety of what you eat, what you're handling. So I do think we have red tape in the EU, but I think there will always be testing for minimum standards of pesticides, etc., for vegetables or for pests that we don't want in the EU. We don't want them to be imported from other places. But at the moment, we're working with the Kenyan Manufacturers Association, all the exporters, the ministry, on how Kenya can meet the standards.
I hear you, Ambassador. And just as we see that now the EU EPA has come into force now, and of course we've seen the war between Israel and Iran happening, and with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, of course that has affected a lot of shipping routes for many countries, and Kenya has been among them that has been, affected. Are we seeing any policy changes, or are we seeing the EU coming in to try and help sort that out, especially for the exports?
The international trade has been badly affected, and everybody hopes that the situation will return back to normal. And when the president was in Brussels, we also discussed that everybody should try to pitch in to see how this can be resolved, because it punishes everybody. But as usual, the ones who can least afford it, they are the ones who bear the greatest consequences and who suffer the most. So the idea is to cushion that and try to make it possible that the prices remain as stable as possible, and that also the exports from Kenya out are least affected. So at the moment, we are still having to use mostly alternative routes, which double the journey. And of course, this has costs, but mostly the costs are then transmitted for your export to the European consumer.
Just as we wrap up, Ambassador, I know you're passionate about climate change, and I have interacted with you before on, just climate funding opportunities. Kenya is big on climate change, right? And we do know that, there are projects that the EU has been funding, but now we have seen the US pull out of major climate change agreements. Are we likely to see the European Union coming in to fill in that gap, so that developing countries and maybe small island developing states, and Kenya being one of them, being a beneficiary of what the EU is planning to do with that gap?
There are two levels here. One is the political and policy level, where the EU has really stepped up, and Kenya has stepped up together with others to close the gap for advocacy to fight climate. But I'm talking to many people, and we all agree that the wars that are happening now have the worst impact on climate whatsoever, because first, the resources that should be there for climate go into defense spending, and second, the attention is turned away from the global challenge of climate. And third, wars have the worst impact on the climate. So this is a triple challenge. And at the policy level, we just had a big Our Ocean conference in Mombasa, where we tried to build a coalition for ocean protection, where also we have a special collaboration with Kenya. And right now, this week, we have a plastics head of delegation meeting. We try to have a global plastic agreement to ban as much as possible plastic from public life without punishing the poorest of the poor who do need, who at the moment have to rely heavily on cheap plastic goods.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Henriette Geiger. She has been speaking to KBC Channel 1 on the EU relations that we've been having with her. My name is Ndota Mokani.
And now let's get sporty. Now, Football Kenya Federation Coast branch officials have declared that Mombasa United's promotion to the Kenyan Premier League is final and non-negotiable, dismissing any possibility of a promotion playoff as the club celebrated its historic achievement alongside Marine Queens at a gala ceremony in Mombasa. Organized by the FKF Mombasa branch, brought together football stakeholders, club officials and government leaders to honor the two coast clubs following successful promotion campaigns in the recently concluded season. Mombasa United secured a third place finish in the National Super League to earn a promotion to the 2026-2027 KPL season, while Marine Queens sealed promotion to the Women's National Super League after an impressive campaign. Now speaking during the celebrations at the Serrani grounds in Mvita sub-county of Mombasa County, FKF Mombasa branch chairperson Alamin Mohamed Abdallah insisted that the promotion regulations were agreed upon before the season kicked off and must be respected.
I think tayari hii imedhihirisha kuwa kuna talent Mombasa, na zile talent ambazo tunazikuza hapa Mombasa, I think kutakuwa na two options. Either watu zile talent zende Mombasa United ama zende Bandari.
Mombasa United ni amangi ya zile timu ambazo zimekuwa promoted, na habari za kwamba labda kutakuwa na mvutano wote, it is outside the FKF.
It will open opportunities for our players, our homegrown players Mombasa, waweze kucheza at national level. So we'll be also demanding rights for our players to play in the Harambee Stars. We'll be also demanding the right for our players to feature in the junior starlets and all that. So
Now let's go to World Cup, where Spain cruised to the round of 16 in stellar fashion after thumping Australia 3-0 at the Los Angeles Stadium, now giving them their first World Cup knockout since 2010. Michael Oyarzabal found the net in the 36th minute when he swept in Mark Cucurellà's low cross after pressure from Spain. Now Pedro Porro doubled the lead in the 66th minute, heading home Alex Baina's cross. Now Oyarzabal later combined with Cucurella again to make it 3 and seal the victory. In other matches of round 32, Portugal edged out Croatia 2-1 and Switzerland beat Algeria 2-0.
Trying to get it to Bayern and he's done it. Rodri among those waiting. It's a brilliant header. It's Pedro Porro. No stopping Spain now. Well watched down the middle.